This is Hunter and CJ's FTL. We're going to be covering the future of education, and just let's get this started. FTL, just so you know, it's a strategic, strategic space game. And do you wanna do the stealth ship?
Yeah, might as well do the stealth ship. I haven't done that in a while.
All right. So, first things first.
We choose a location on the map, and then we need to jump to.
Yeah, basically we're just trying to get to the end and beat a big old boss ship. But that's not what you're here for. You're here for the education. So, first things first. The future of education, there needs to be a change. It's clear on almost every aspect that there needs to be a change in the education system.
That's definitely true.
And so there's a lot of different ways that people are suggesting to do this. There's the idea of digital Aristotle for everyone, and that's just basically where the kids will be learning on their own through like a computer system, just like Aristotle taught Alexander the Great. Now, while this sounds like a fantastic idea, it's not exactly an assured system, especially since there has always been these revelations of this new technology could completely change the way the world works. So, Hunter, what is your suggestion for the future of education?
With the digital Aristotle?
Yeah, like, what's your sort of idea on that?
The idea of the digital Aristotle. Well, it's definitely a sound example of what the future of education could be, especially when it comes to the ability to have someone in your pocket that you can talk to at any point in time. Your own personal tutor. It's definitely a wonderful idea, but it's a bit complex and would require a lot of resources, and we probably do not have at this time.
But if you think about it, isn't Google almost like its own digital Aristotle?
In ways, it does. It's not personalized to the person that looks for information on there. There's no sitting down and talking about the actual subject. Of course, you can look up stuff, but there's not always the assuration that you're going to get what you need from Google. Now, if we had someone that we could talk to, a human being or even an AI that we could talk to about certain subjects, now that would be a lot different than just searching something up on Google.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. It's just there's just always going to be difficulties with whatever system we choose. Nothing is going to be perfect for everyone.
Yeah, very true.
I'm also probably going to lose. So the second document that I was sort of using, there's the 21st century education system has changed in many ways and varies between the people in countries that use their different education systems. Yeah, I think I'm just going to restart, honestly.
Not a bad idea.
Oh, crap. Well, this is going well. So like, some of the different ways that education systems have changed in the world today, places such as like South Korea work with companies and do a lot of internships. Like, you can't complete school without an internship. Or Australia does a lot the same and does a lot more of self-exploration, a lot more arts instead of just the core classes that everyone's used to. Then also there's Sir Ken Robinson and his thoughts on how school actually kills creativity, and how basically our current school system is an antiquated system that just doesn't work for what's going on in the world today. It was meant for the industrial area, and it's just not going to work for us now. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I definitely agree that the structure of our education system is based upon that of the old industrial era type of learning, where people would push other people out of the way to get what they need. Also, considering that many of the industrial era people didn't think public schooling was a sound idea, that it was a waste of money, and that it was first picking up. It wasn't really something people thought of as a good idea.
Yeah, and even nowadays, people still think that our current education system is, well, like any new modifications to it could be troublesome to what we actually need. A lot of people think that the important thing is more school, and there's also the thought that there needs to be less school and more freedom, and that it's really just, it depends on where you're going with your ideas. There's definitely philosophies that think of all kinds of different situations of that sort of thing. So, for instance, one of my favorite ones that I've looked up was Peter Gray, and with his self-directed learning, he believes that children need more ability to be free, more ability to play, and shows evidence on why play is important. Like, they went to hunter-gatherer societies, and every hunter-gatherer society across the world had children playing all day, all night, unrestricted. No, adults weren't there to supervise to make sure that they were all right. It was, they had to learn on their own. And it's not because they couldn't have one person supervise. It was just that was the way that people learn. And it's important for kids to learn and develop that way because it allows them to gain social skills and emotional abilities to change and react to their world and their life and have control of their life.
Having students go into a classroom every morning and go out and stay in there for 6 hours definitely teaches them social skills that are needed in life. If we relied upon a piece of technology that were to just tell us to do this, how to do this, there's certain aspects of our life that would be missing out upon. I mean, a lot of people at some points don't like their high school, middle school, or elementary school experience, but it does teach you valuable lessons on how to live your life and how to better affect other people around you, and also how to be a better person in general. Yeah. Stuff that an AI on a phone probably couldn't teach you as well as a teacher or a mentor could.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And there's also the idea of having so much to do with play and stuff that Peter Gray works with. So in one of his TED Talks, he goes into detail about all the stuff that play does for children, about how there is less play in school, and how in 1950s there was a lot more ability to play and learn and explore on your own. School literally was 6 hours still, and people still had jobs and stuff afterwards, but there wasn't homework. Homework for elementary schoolers was unheard of. In fact, it probably would have been a crazy idea for anyone to have thought that at that time. But now there's almost no play. Children are forced to continuously work and work and work just so they can build their resume. And so in general, play's effect on mammals. So they did research on mammals and their basically they recognized that all mammals of some sort would do some sort of play, and they deprived some animals of play. I mean, they still taught them like the basic social abilities and didn't completely deprive them, just deprived them of play. And what they found was animals that were deprived of play, when brought into new situations, would completely be unable to cope. They had no ability to reason with fear and deal with new stuff. So they were stunted. They were crippled in their ability to be emotional or social. And it's really important because they also checked it, like they've got the correlations and the science behind the fact that as the play has declined in a straight line, so has children's abilities to be better socially, work better in groups. Children's suicide rates and anxiety and mental illnesses have increased at the exact same rate that play is decreasing in schools and in children's life. And yes, there is still a lot of play. There's football, baseball, basketball, but it's not the kind of play that would be defined by what play really means. Play is the self-controlled and self-directed act of entertainment. It's not uniformed or directed by adults. It's children working on their own. And this isn't directly, it does directly relate to education, because education is what's taking that away. It's taking away children's abilities to be free in themselves. They're all stuck being cookie cuttered out, as Sir Ken Robinson would say. And it's difficult for children to do stuff when they're just being forced to work like that. There's mods, if that's why you're wondering what some of these drones are. That's basically an attack drone.
Oh, so this is new stuff.
Yeah, some of them are just a few different mods.
Okay.
If you want, you can sell the defense drone and try and buy the attack drone.
No, I don't think I'll be able to.
But yeah, it's
so more on to where you were talking about Peter Singer's
and Peter Gray.
Peter Gray, apologies. Peter Gray's view on all this. Can you go into more detail about the industrialized era of how he thinks that industry is controlling more of the school system and less of the social aspect of the actual schooling that we need to have?
So it's a simple correlation of there's more people being set to, the children are expected to work to better themselves to be an adult. But instead of being taught how to be social and how to be how to know how to work with their emotions, how to control their own lives, there's actually tests that are given to test to see how well children feel they are in control of their own lives. And as school has become more and more of a factor, and where people are literally just only focusing on having their kids work for their future, there's a correlation of children feeling like they have no control in life. They're stuck in they're stuck in their world, they have no ability to control what they want to do, what they want to be. And it's difficult to be exact on a lot of this, because the emotion is hard to put a statistic on. But the graphs of showing children becoming depressed and anxious, children nowadays are actually more depressed than they were during the Great Depression, and more anxious than when they were at Russia's throat in the Cold War. Literally, they're...
Tell me about it.
But, and this isn't just on children's health and emotions. If they can't develop their own control of their life, how are they meant to become adults and be able to be reasoned with? this is important not in just their knowledge, but in the ability to act human. And so with stuff like self-directed learning, there's a fundamental freedom that children should be allowed to play. They should have time to explore and be free on their own without interference. And I'm not saying, yeah, let's just go throw our kids out in the street and no one care. But there needs to be more. There's a change where if there's less children in the world outside playing and one kid goes outside, not only will they not want to go outside, there's also more of a chance that fewer children outside will have people mess with them and affect them. So there's just this problem of not only does the education system not work, but our way that we're raising children is affecting the ability for education to really be given to children. I would say, well, I mean, it's up to you, but I usually do shields. Also, if you haven't realized, we will occasionally just interject with our video game talk.
Yeah.
So,
so continue on what we were further talking about.
Basically, there are 6 fundamental rules that are in self-directed learning that Peter Gray explains, and I feel like this is the way that education should move, because it allows children to not only change and work better as humans, but also it's going to change for the better for the way that the world is changing. And the title of the video is 2060 Education Predictions, and it was by Khan Academy. And he makes predictions on what 2060 will be like. And he doesn't say, flying cars and whatnot. He says there's going to be a decline of regular classrooms, less straight up one teacher, 50 students, just spouting information, hoping everyone can catch all of it. It's going to become more hands-on, project-based laboratories, and not just science and math, but in the actual way that anything was taught. So in art, it would be hands-on painting, not this is how you do this paintbrush stroke and stuff like that, which is important because the world is becoming more and more independent from physical needs and even mental needs, and more towards innovation and creativity. We are getting a lot of people.
Yeah, a large amount.
It's always good to have a big crew, but back to the subject at hand. Basically, there's already machines that we could pretty much cut out physical requirements. The only thing that we need to do anymore is just have machines be able to build machines. And I mean, I know Matrix definitely says that we shouldn't have that because the machines will take over, but there's less and less need for mental and physical capability because machines can already do that. What's important is being able to create what the machines need to create, to change stuff, to make art. And so play allows for that because it allows for the ability to grow an imagination, the ability to change. It allows for people to invest themselves in what they want to learn. Now, what does the fox say? And as you can tell, this is not a very well scripted thing that we're just working on here. It's literally just we're chatting.
A free range kind of conversation.
It's podcast-esque in a sense. So with with more self-directed learning, there would be a lot more self-taught on what is needed, because children and people in general will teach themselves what they need and what they want to learn. And with that, there's basically like the basis of I lost my train of thought right there. With this basis of children learning what they need and what they want, there's more creativity into that and less people forced to do jobs that they don't like. There was a statistic that I can't remember at the moment, but 80-something% of people hate the job that they currently have and would prefer to be anywhere else. And I think that was actually from Tai Lopez, because I was watching an ad while watching one of these videos. So, Lamborghini. But that's absurd. Why would you ever work a job your entire life if you hated it? Could you imagine doing anything just because we basically already having to do that with, global perspective homework, but doing something that we hate just because we have to survive. And with self-directed learning, there really isn't any current statistic that shows exactly how effective it is, because there is no real ability to scale that without testing it on children for their entire life. But there is definitely clear indicators of what would happen. So self-directed learning would allow for kids to be able to learn from themselves, from others, from their peers. And a lot of times when people are given freedom to learn what they want, they learn better. They memorize it better. They collaborate better.
Especially
people
at their
work
own
as
pace.
teams. Yeah, because if you work at a pace forced by whatever is given, you might fall behind, especially in current school systems where if you're not staying on task with the teacher, even if you're trying to, you could be screwed out of learning. And just, you have any... I've been just rambling on, so I think it's a little bit
to go what you're saying about like how students learn, how like the individuals hate their jobs, which isn't entirely true for everybody, but some statistics don't really lie all that much. But it's definitely a thing in education nowadays where it's leave no child behind. That's what's been said by congressmen, by presidents for years now, and in the system it just doesn't work. It really doesn't. If we continue with the way we're going with that kind of system, where we try to continue on a set pace to at the end ultimately stop or ultimately pass an EOC or a standardized test, then we really can continue that, because many students are left behind. Some students will learn faster, some students learn slower, and it's a constant battle between whether we're going to worry about one student today or worry about one student tomorrow, especially when teachers and everyone alike are having a hard time keeping up with classrooms of 20, 25 students. It's very difficult for them in order to... Wow, we're
not in a good place. Let's
keep on trucking.
Yeah, if we have to, we can always just restart.
But yeah, it's teachers and students nowadays, the connection between them have definitely been lost, as it's getting harder for for teachers to really be able to get a connection with their students. Too many teachers, too many students
to teachers
to teacher ratio in our public schooling, and that's not the philosophy of the American, leave no child behind. I mean, the presidents, congressmen, they talk about how they want to fix education, how they want to make it better, but they don't actually
make it great again.
They don't actually make it great again. It's definitely something to talk about. It's definitely something that they use to. Well, this isn't a presidential or political debate, but it's something they definitely use to sway voters and sway individuals on how like they are going to. They promise to deal with certain situations and certain positions. Now, the personal.
So.
The personal Aristotle, one part about it would be extremely useful is the fact that people wouldn't have to rely on the classroom-based system. It's something that, like I said earlier, teaches one how to be social with other students, how to interact among classroom members and have friends and learn just things that are right and wrong. But having the personal Aristotle with that kind of here we go.
So
they found us.
To cut in, we ran out of fuel, and we have like no hole, and they found us while we were trying to get fuel. So we kind of don't. But back to the
having the personal Aristotle with the way we're learning now, like going to a classroom with a phone in our pocket. We do that. Everyone does that. Having a person, an AI, or just one person in our phones that we can pull out at any time, even after class, while we're confused about something and we're done.
Yeah, this is us dying. We're probably going to restart.
Having those mixed would be perfect. It would allow for students to learn by themselves at their own pace, and it would also allow for teachers to communicate with their students, and it'd allow students to communicate with their friends and to have social groups. I kind of ran off of a tangent there, but my main point with this is that definitely a digital Aristotle would be useful. It would be hard to implement, but I mean, it would be something. The education ship.
I was going to say the educator.
The educator. It would be something very beneficial to the school system today. Something that's already kind of like that, Khan Academy. One of the videos and documents that I have is about how Khan Academy is going to, what their prediction is for the next 50 years. And they believe that there will be classrooms with this technology, with personal Aristotles, and with teachers that will be able to teach students from miles and miles away from different continents. And that's very beautiful. And they also believe that online classes will be something very dominant compared to what we have now.
The only problem with something like that is that there's been predictions that the current technology, this technology or that technology, will be the future of education. Will be what we need to be able to develop more as a society. Like radio. Radio was for the longest time thought. Now one teacher can just sit behind a mic, kind of like us, and just say whatever they need to teach. And the only problem with that is there isn't enough personal work in that. There would be no way to tell if a child or anyone would be able to get that information. And so there's always going to be problems with that. So instead of just our information dump, let's just start to get into some of what we should be answering. So while Hunter finishes up his Snapchat, let's analyze some of the reasoning behind some of our documents. I chose personally Peter Gray's self-directed learning.
Yeah.
So his reasoning, it's basically just that if you you can play. I'm gonna try and remember.
Okay, then we'll switch over.
Yeah, and then we can just swap. So Peter Gray basically explains the reason that current education systems don't work is because there isn't enough freedom, and if children are given the freedom to learn and like direct themselves and aren't just taken care of and force-fed the information like teachers are instructed to do, then children do better and will actually try and give maximum effort, while when we're force-fed information, we do like we do now and procrastinate till the last day and record a podcast of us playing FTL.
Not a very good one to be at that.
I'd probably at least get a B. Between the two of us.
Yeah.
So like 35% you,
each,
35% me. So another thing that he argues, and I had gone into, was that play is an important thing in the development of children and their ability to learn and grow as adults and as people. And it's such a great reason, because he explains it on multiple levels, that not only do mammals in general do play, and that when deprived of it, they are basically stunted and unable to interact with new and sometimes fearful environments. But he also goes on to explain that hunter-gatherer tribes, and even 50 years ago, when he was in school, that it was important, and it's how people learn. And he explains how nowadays adults sort of think that interaction between children and learning on their own is not what it's discredited, it's not important. And it's just a really important thing to allow children to learn on their own. Another thing with it is that it does increase collaboration. It does allow for people to work together. It allows for more innovation, and that's what we need in this society, because creativity is dropped, and it's becoming the most important thing in society, because... Sorry, got some weird burps. But it's becoming so much more important because we have so much... we don't have focus on what we used to have, where it was you need to know this basic information and then just be able to work in a factory, because that's the way this education system was set up, was for the ability to produce factory workers. And now with our ability to not have to work in a factory, because we have so many machines and robots and everything that we need to not have to do physical demanding labor or just menial, unintelligent stuff. There's a bigger need for the innovation to change the focus on what is needed in society. And so there always will be at least somewhat physical and mental work, but with also the ability to learn on your own, there's also a lot more mastery in their things, and it would increase the emotional well-being of people. I mean, right now there has been a decrease in adult suicide rates, but ever since play has started to decline in schools, and in general, there has been an exceptional increase in suicide rates, in anxiety, in like clinically reported anxiety and like clinically reported depression. And the child suicide rate has increased by at least double, I think maybe triple. And the depression rate and the anxiety rate has also increased by at least double or triple. I can't remember which ones were which. And so there's just a general consensus in the reasoning of there needs to be a change. There needs to be a lot more freedom, and there needs to be a better way to deal with children and the way that they learn and the way that they grow. Because education really isn't all about... It's not completely about just absorption of knowledge. You could give me a textbook, and as long as I wanted to read it, I could read it all day and eventually learn everything about it. But that doesn't make me a better human, and it wouldn't make anything better besides that I now know a thing. Also, we just got a repair bomb, and I don't know if that's any good at all.
No, not at all.
Because usually anything that you shoot yourself with usually kind of sucks.
May come in handy at some point.
We could just sell it.
Yeah.
It'd be handy for money.
Perfect. This game is all about choice, and you
it's
make
a
a
lot
wrong
about
turn somewhere, and you could really get
choice
screwed
and
up.
morals. And we would be focusing a lot more on it, but we definitely have something that we have to actually importantly cover.
Yeah.
Would you like to analyze the reasoning of any of your specific documents?
Well, one of my sources, one of my documents, goes off of, like I said earlier about Khan Academy. It talks about how the future of education will become a lot more modern than it is today, and that it's something that we need to think about, and how we're going to shape our future, like how classrooms are going to have more of a focus on technology, how we're going to need to have more funding for the actual technology aspect that is the future that's coming up. I mean, in 50 years, you think about what we have now. I mean, what do you think we're going to have then? I mean, we're wearing currently watches that are small screens capable of talking to and from your friends. You can communicate through this watch to someone all around the world. And I mean, you think about that, the opportunities for...
A few years ago, that would have been absurd. Literally, if you would have said that in 20 years, we're going to be able to look at everything the world has ever known and written down in my hand without having a huge textbook.
And that's crazy. I mean, even in 2007, you don't even go back far 20 years. 2007, they had computers that were capable of, well, they had the clicky keys, the mechanical keys that you see the green text screen with the command prompt. You didn't have any kind of really I mean, what I'm saying is, in 2007, I mean, thinking about a touchscreen object in your pocket that you could pick up and just start talking to and talk to anyone else around you, it was like you said, absurd. It was something to be dreamed of. And at this point, I mean, the main person at Khan Academy, I forgot what the CEO's name is. He basically.
It's Khan.
Yeah, Khan?
Yeah.
That's his name, actually?
No, I don't know.
I'd assume it was
Star
Khan
Trek
because
reference.
he was probably the CEO, but more research probably should have went into that.
Maybe he was just a big fan of Star Trek.
Yeah, maybe. But the person that was talking about it in this video, he explained that in those 50 years coming up, one of two things are going to happen. The first thing is that students are going to change. They're going to change how they are taught. They're going to change how they learn, as in the way that they are learning different things is going to be altered. And what he means by that is technology will change this. The way in which the pace of students that will be learning will be changed, or will have to be changed in order to properly benefit from that, to benefit from this change. And the second thing he was saying is that in those 50 years, and 50 years from now, there will be a larger focus on an internet-based classroom, some kind of classroom that will be based online. I mean, in Florida right now, in St. Petersburg, there's many people that I know of with at least 1 or 2 Florida virtual classes. And what he was saying is that it will most likely be a requirement in order to take a Florida, or well, not a Florida, but a virtual class, in order to get students away from the classroom and getting more creative, doing more outdoor stuff, and altering how they view things. Khan really opened my eyes on how things can be changed. In Khan Academy, how we have it right now is that the pace. The doors weren't locked. That's nice.
Yeah, he broke them.
And now he's suffocating.
Yep, just a little.
But what he was saying, the research that he's done so far. I'm gonna close the door.
I can't. I have to.
Oh, that's right.
Get out of there.
What he was saying about the research they have right now is in the actual Khan Academy webpage is that they are. Is that you that's dying or me?
That's Mullet. You're in there too, though.
Oh, nice.
Colosi is our pilot.
Colosi's our pilot.
As always. I'm over here in the engine room because no one loves me.
And I'm working on the guns.
Yeah.
The gun show.
The gun show.
Yeah. The way that we have it now with Khan Academy and how people go on Khan Academy is that the majority of individuals, a classroom of 30 people, all right, say they are all from the same classroom and they're 30 students, just random students, all different backgrounds. They go on this website and they have a deadline. This needs to be done in 20 weeks. How much do we have? Wow, 3 away. We need to sell something.
I don't know if I have enough.
Heavy machine gun MK2, what is that?
Basically it does crew damage.
Crew damage.
But it's very fast.
Okay. There's those 30 people. We have that information, and the deadline is 20 weeks to get a certain amount of stuff done. And he saw that on these lessons online, each week had a different lesson that needed to be done. And he saw that in making these lessons available at all times, that some students performed higher than those other students at first. I mean, there were people on the very first lesson that got 100% A, and then you'd see other people that only got around an 80%. And you see that their understanding of the subject wasn't all that high. Now, you continue on, you see this line graph of all these students, and you can see by each week what gets done. Some don't get something done that week, but the next week they get 2 things done, and etc. You can see this entire line graph of people increasing their knowledge of the subject and reaching the end of 20 weeks and showing what their understanding is. You see this, and you notice the lowest performing student on the first day is surpasses the highest performing student on the first day. And you can see the lowest performing compared to highest performing. Highest performing did everything within 7 weeks. All of that 20-week class got it out of the way within 7 weeks. I mean, that was his pace. I mean, a lot of us can do that differently. I mean, myself, I could do probably those 20 weeks within 4 weeks and probably get the same amount of grade if I did it in 20 weeks. But you see that other person that took their time, that really didn't understand it at first, you could see that there's massive jumps in between weeks. Maybe 1 week it took him a week to get it done, but the second week it took him a couple days to get 2 weeks worth of information done. You can see that jump. You can see that connection that they have as it rapidly increases all the way to the 20 week.
Right. This guy can...
And that's what I think. What I think, and what Khan, or the CEO, the guy that was talking about the future of education in 50 years, that's what I think is his main outlook on things. Is that a structured classroom where pace doesn't exactly matter. Something we don't have to look forward to a standardized test at the end of the year like we do in our classrooms now. We don't have to worry about that. Instead, we have to worry about getting something done within our own time. I mean, there's always going to be kids that procrastinate, do it on the last day, and if that's their pace, that's their pace. I mean, that's something that works for them. That's something that they're going to choose to do. But I mean, the other students that really try to get this done, really need to get this done. Certain days are they are needed. You just open up the doors.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to get him to.
I always get the little bugs in the control room. Because I don't know. I feel like that's where they
Actually want mullet.
Mullet. I think that's me.
No, you're in the gun show.
Oh, wait, are you sure?
Yeah.
Let me see. Wait, go over his name.
Mullet.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. That is what I think. That is what I think the future of education is. And I mean, it may not be pure. It may not be a personal Aristotle, something in your pocket, because I don't think in 50 years we'll have technology that way. And maybe we'll have AI. Maybe they'll take over the earth, and maybe they'll slaughter all humans. Who knows? But I don't think we're gonna have.
We're really into the Matrix apparently today.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have an AI in our pocket that's gonna be able to communicate with us and teach us whatever we want to know at a pace that we set. I do think that paces can't be set though, and I think alterations to the way we teach in our education system, kind of how Khan Academy works right now, I think that is something plausible and very, very well could be done.
Yeah, and there's also so now to just move on to evaluating some of our reasoning and some of the stuff that we learned. For Peter Gray and my reasonings, he had almost everything that he had backed up with scientific research that he and a team had done, or that anthropologists had done. It's not like the self-directed learning or that play is important was just like his one-off idea that this is probably it. It's not the rantings of a madman. It's an important thing that has shown correlations. Also, yeah, I kind of put you in a screwy place.
Oh boy.
But I've buffed our shields.
I think we'll be okay.
Hopefully.
Shall we continue? I have another source we can talk about, and that'll probably be the conclusion here.
So, hello. What's up, Harrison? Do you have anything to say about school and education?
Absolutely do.
All right. Why don't you just come on in here?
Special guest Harrison.
Special guest Harrison, making a guest appearance. If you want to be able to hear what we're listening to, just some chill music while we're playing.
Hi, how's everyone doing? My name is Harrison.
Before, man. We're talking about digital Aristotles and the future of education.
Ah, yes.
What's your idea on the future of education, and what would you say is what's the future of education, the best way to sort of start teaching children? What do you think would be an advancement?
I would say the future of education would be sort of like a specialization in education. What I mean is, having kids put more focus on what they're good at, whether as, everyone has to learn such and such and such, math, science, English every year. repeating. Some kids might be better, let's say, at vocational stuff, blue collar jobs, versus, let's say, the math and sciences. Maybe specializing education in such a way where people who are better at hands-on work get better at hands-on, and people who are better at math and sciences get better at that. Because one, make people better at certain things, which means more productivity.
But what if you don't know what you want to do? What if you don't know what you want to specialize in? How will you find that?
Well,
that's some of our problems nowadays. We don't know what people want. We don't know what my specialization would be.
I think regardless of the educational systems that will take place in the future, there will be the opportunity to explore what you want to do. Because let's say even if you reach the age of, let's say, 16, 17, you'll probably have an idea of what you're good at or not good at. And that could just in general help you find an opportunity somewhere. Because you never know. You might think your dream job is one thing, and then you'll discover something else and you'll be like, whoa, I really like this and I'm really good at it. I'm not specifying in any job specifically, but regardless of the educational system, I personally believe that, and I think I can make a really good argument about it, that you will be able to find what you want to do no matter what. Because like I said, by the time you reach a certain age, you know what you're good at and what you're not. That might change, and you can always, let's say, transfer over from hands-on to something more academic. But usually, if you know what you're good at, and you probably would know, it'll probably help guide you towards something that will highly benefit you, make you successful, and benefit society overall.
Do you actually have something to do, or you
I just had a question for possibly Hunter or anyone who wants to Chipotle, but I can do that later.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us out there at Harrison. If you have anything else?
To see this?
What?
Like to see this for the project? Or?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be. I'm going to try and post it on YouTube.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool. Hey, I've heard.
So I think we should do one more of your sources, your main sources, and then I'll do one more of mine, and then I think we should sort of wrap this up with a conclusion and then think about the Aristotle.
Yeah. So, with all of this just sort of in mind, to just sort of conclude, because my whole idea is that, Alright, apparently we have another special guest, Hannah Baghdadi.
Is this live?
No, it's just YouTube, eventually.
So, what's your ideas on future education and how things should change?
Wait, is it recording?
Yes.
Where?
It's from this mic, but we're playing over the game.
Okay, one more time. What was the question?
What is your sort of idea on the future of education and how it will change? What do you think is the next big step?
I think that we should get more involved in home economics and learning how to change a tire and filing taxes and being responsible.
So what we're really talking about here, the future of education, we're talking about whether we should have a personal Aristotle. By that, a personal Aristotle is an AI or a person that is a tutor, someone that you can pick up, call up, and you can talk to at any point in time. That's what we're really talking about.
Yeah, like instead of learning in front of a classroom, instead of having to sit down in a class of 30 and you might understand what is being taught, but someone might need to have a repeat, but they don't feel like it's necessary. What do you think would help people learn better?
I personally believe in the sort of self-teaching, exploring what you want to learn and learning what you need.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But there's also the idea of a digital Aristotle, where I don't know if you know the ancient philosopher Aristotle. He taught Alexander the Great, one of the greatest men to ever live. He was just a personal teacher and taught him everything he needed to know. But we can't have that. There's no way we could have a million Aristotles teaching a million children, because there's no way. The world just wouldn't work that way. But the current education system just isn't working. Obviously, I mean, there's so many complaints about the array of standardized testing and the way that kids are just, they're emotionally and socially becoming more adept and showing more reports of mental illness and stuff like that.
Right.
So we're gonna continue just me and him. Okay. I appreciate your
Yeah.
input.
I was.
Thanks for trying to join me. It's not.
You're welcome.
It's definitely good for us to just be able to explain.
So let's continue on about your final source, and then I'll continue on about mine.
So to just sort of conclude, my whole premise is that the reason we need to change that digital Aristotle for everyone won't work is that it's not that the technology isn't there. It's just that there needs to be a lot more personal, like there needs to be human aspect to it. Because if we just throw a bunch of kids into a room where they learn on their own, it's never going to work just that easily. There's going to be always a problem with just throwing kids into a room and having them teach or learn, because they won't have the social ability. If they don't work with others, if they don't explore what they want and what they need to learn on their pace, they're never going to become functional or learn how to take control of their own life. So, just personally, I mean, we have our global project, and I'll definitely say every person that I have talked to is upset, livid with the fact that they have to do so much research, and that it just doesn't seem like it's a effective way of learning how to do this. And but for our thinking skills project, I have not heard a single problem with anyone having to do this project. They've all enjoyed learning what they want about the school education system, and
Hoping for that A by saying this, am I right?
I mean, it never hurts to kiss a little ass. I mean, but like the fact that we didn't all have to do one specific way of presenting either. We were able to do our own thing.
Got creative with it.
Yeah.
The altering style of teaching is probably the most important part of this. Be able to change it to how the students want to be taught.
Yeah, it's important to be able to be flexible so kids can learn the way that they need to learn. If that means that students are self-taught, or that it'd be better for them to be able to learn just from a digital Aristotle. Also, this ship is on fire. Holy crap. I would send everyone to the back of the ship and wait, we can't open doors. Oh shit. Send all the fully healthy people to the medical bay.
Fully healthy?
Yeah, so me and Mullet.
It's broken though.
Yeah,
and on fire.
They're gonna have to put it out. If not, we're screwed. You know, the last thing on my docket here to talk about is literally just don't lose to the flagship. I mean, we definitely did that. We've just lost to everything else. All right. As soon as they get that repaired, have everyone start to heal and have as many people in there healing. And then, once plenty of people are healed, send them to the doors.
Good thinking, CJ.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
You gotta learn this on your own sometimes, you know, with a little bit of self-learning.
Shit's on fire, yo.
Shit's on fire.
Okay, we gotta
So,
continue.
what about you? What is your conclusion to your sort of ideas on the learning? Yeah.
So, really, my final point that I'd like to make about our discussion we've had, it's been tangent, it's gone off different corners and different pieces, but the really final conclusion I think that should be made is that a personal Aristotle is something that humans, students, and just generally everybody needs. It's something that we should have. It's something that we should strive to have, but it's something that probably won't happen in our lifetime. That's something that, we just need to understand.
Yeah.
It's unlikely for what's happening.
I was hoping that I could just activate the doors.
You know, activate.
No, the doors aren't allowed to be used because we're in an ion storm. We need to jump out. Send all the healthy people to the pilot bay. No, not Hunter and Mullet.
No.
Send the ones in the actual medical bay. Send yourself in. Send Mullet and you into the medical bay. I don't want to send more than one person because he's going to catch fire.
Okay, here we go. We got
It's getting hot here in the.
It's getting hot up in here.
But we've gotten. I think this is the furthest we've gotten. Is with the educator here.
Yeah, this is definitely pretty far.
Here.
What?
You continue your thing. I'm going to.
Okay.
Continue.
Yeah, you take care of all this.
Yeah.
I gotta not focus on it. My final conclusion I would like to make is that everybody needs an Aristotle, and I think it's something that we should definitely strive for. It's something that's probably not going to happen, as the resources, the labor, the amount of money that it will cost in order for that to happen.
Yep. Get out of here.
No, just do it. Just,
Yeah.
no, shit.
Oh God.
Decline.
Respectfully decline.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Continue.
Sorry, we got something to deal with. Okay, everyone in the door bay. Something that we should all definitely strive for. I don't believe that it's going to come to fruit anytime soon. Not even within 50 years. The labor for it is too low. We don't have enough people to tutor every student on Earth, which makes up probably, I'd say, anywhere from a quarter to a third of the population, which are students at one point in time on the world. And I don't think we have that amount of money, that amount of resources to supply to an individual that could be a personal tutor with everybody. But that's something we should all try to look forward to. It's a great idea. It's a grand idea that really should be looked at into the future, and it should be the main focus among education, especially when it comes to changing how we see education in the future. Really what I'm trying to say is I'm kind of going off on this, since you're trying to make sure the ship doesn't explode. What I'm really trying to say is that the personal Aristotle is something that we should all try to have. It's something that we should look forward to, something that is a good idea, something that we should really look forward to having in our future. But it's just not plausible. It's probably not going to happen. It's something that will take more resources than we have and more technology than we have.
I think the fires are finally out.
Altering.
Oh crap! I need to close the door.
Altering education is probably the next thing that we should look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
We should change it to where people go by their own pace.
Yeah, and more self-exploratory. That way they can find not only, obviously themselves, let's get some some philosophy up in here, but like just they need to find what they are meant for, what they need to know, what they want to learn, and it's going to be the easiest. Well, there's never going to be an easy way to teach everyone everything. There's no possible way it'll happen, but it's just that without a sort of different way of learning, there's nothing's going to change.
I mean, yeah. I mean, of course, we like, you know how presidential like Trump and Hillary, they all want charter schools. They all want certain things that will revolutionize education. Well, I mean, unless we actually change how students learn and how they are how they become creative and how colleges accept them, there's really nothing that'll happen. Of course, the digital Aristotle is a great idea. It's something that, like I keep saying over and over again, it's something that we should definitely strive for. It's just it's something that
it's a little far-fetched.
It's far-fetched. It's definitely far-fetched.
I definitely a good start to the changing of the school system would probably be increase play, allow for more creativity, allow for more self-learning, a little bit more teaching of themselves, because children learn on their own. It's how people grow. It's how people learn how to interact, and it's how people learn to not be afraid of everything, learn how to live their life and not feel like they're controlled.
Alone, but they learn. Well, they learn from themselves, from what's around them.
They learn from adults, but they also need to be able to learn from just interacting with other kids.
Yes.
What Peter Gray was saying earlier in one of the documents, he basically explains how adults think children only can learn from adults because adults know best. And they do. But they also learn from other things as well. And there just needs to be less of an adult force feeding and more of a self-led journey for children. Not focus only on sorry, that was probably gross, but not just focus on making their resumes look amazing. It's more about focusing on what is important to just be a human. Also, yeah, that is a laser ray. So, now that we basically are sort of done with our public education sort of rant, I guess you could call this a podcast, kind of. We're probably just going to finish this off with a bit of talk on the game. We are doing terrible.
Say terrible.
We've died multiple times. And,
well, this is the farthest we've gotten. It's doing pretty well.
I mean, it's because we have Colosi at the helm.
Yeah, that's definitely true. He's doing a lot for us. I'm trying to kill off these guys right now, currently, that are inside of our ship.
So basically, there's a lot of different ways that you can sort of play the game. Right now, we have it as we're just trying to survive, honestly.
Yeah. But here comes the slugs.
We have a bunch of people invading our ship, and we're trying to make them die of suffocation.
And that didn't really work all that well. But they are currently fighting inside of our health bay, and that's healing our crew members as they're fighting them. So that's good.
Yeah. So basically, we get heals while beating them up.
Except that it's not working because
we don't have any power for it.
Yes.
It's down.
There goes our ship. There goes our shield. That's good.
Who needs shields anyways?
Who needs shields?
Here. I know exactly what we need to do. You're firing at their weapons, which isn't bad, but shields. Nice. But yeah. So.
Well, I think that about wraps it up. This has been Hunter and CJ and our talk about the foundation, or more of a babble about the future of education and personal Aristotle.
Hopefully we covered everything that we needed to.
Or hopefully we at least got about 3 minutes worth of actual detailed information in this.
I mean, it's only been an hour and 10 minutes almost, and I'm not sure if it was about like maybe 5 minutes worth of actual pertinent information. But we'll just finish up this fight and then we'll call it quits.
Yeah.
Then I wonder how long it'll take for me to upload to YouTube.
We gotta make sure that this is okay with K-Dog.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we beat him. We killed their crew. That's the first time I've done that.
Wow,
Alright.
nice.
So,
Can we
no, I've done it before actually. No, you have to wait till good to a ship. But
What achievements do you have? Not have. I mean, have 60 aliens. Okay, gotcha. Have 11 systems installed on the Kestrel. Oh, dude, I've done all of them.
yeah, I don't really usually play on this one. But we're just gonna go back to the hangar.
You're
And,
gonna save and quit.
Nah. All right, that's it. We'll see you guys maybe next time. I don't know.
When we procrastinate more.
On our next project, where we do the same thing, except it's a different rant. See ya.